appreciate the Lord, and I appreciate His Spirit. He's so wonderful. And I just had this thought. I actually had a thought last Sunday. It came to me, and I sort of brushed it off, but it's come back to me again. I know a couple of weeks ago, my mother came in the office, and we was working. She said that she listened to Charles Stanley. Charles Stanley said, if you want a business, he said, if you want a real business plan for a Christian in the time we're living in today, or a plan at all, he said, you need to read Proverbs. And I know we don't hear very little about Proverbs, I know, but I've been reading Proverbs and every night, every morning, whenever I can. And I tell you, it's just there's a lot in there that shows you how much we need God, and then just day-to-day life. You want a daily devotional that's in this Bible. Read Proverbs and read it over and over again. And I had just a couple of thoughts that came back to me, and one of them, when Phil was preaching, and one of them said, it's better to have a little crust of bread in quietness than it is to feast daily with strife. That's our world we're living in today. That's the world we're living in today. We have so much, but we don't give God. I mean, we're so far from God, but we're just so merciful. He shows us ourselves. But then there was another one. I couldn't find it, and it was how we call out to God during disaster, when disaster strikes. That's our God. He's a God of disaster? No. He's a daily God. Yes. He wants us every single day to call on Him. He sends disaster to wake us up, but it says, if I remember correctly, it says He laughs, because that's the only time we call on Him. Let's don't. And I came to this one, and I'm gonna read it. This got me to this point right here. It's Proverbs 8. It's 33, and I'm just gonna read it. It says, "Listen to my instructions and be wise. Do not ignore it. Blessed are the man who listens to me, watching daily at my doors, waiting at my doorway. For whosoever finds me finds life and receives favor from the Lord." Okay, whosoever finds me finds life and receives favor from the Lord. But whosoever fails to find me harms himself. The truth of it all is most of our affliction is self-inflicted. We do not listen to God. We do not find God. If you want a cure for your pains, find God. Yes. Daily. Yes. Watch daily at His door. It's the grace of God to put you in a situation where you know that you need Him daily. So I think what the Lord's saying for you today, if you want to not harm yourself, and the decision you need to make is find God.
Well, I appreciate this. I don't want to cut anybody off. As we've heard these messages over the last few weeks, I just keep thinking about how it kind of is culminating in walking in the Spirit, living in the Spirit, and as Brian pointed out, daily. I appreciate what Reggie said, a God of disasters, and it's so easy for us in our lives to do that. And then after the disaster's over and the Lord has saved us, we kind of go back to that same old thing of walking in the flesh. I wrote down a couple of things that we've talked about over the last few weeks, living moment by moment, living daily, not thinking about tomorrow, casting our anxieties on Him daily, surrendering daily and continually. And it really does come back to just walking in the Spirit, living in the Spirit daily. And this verse kind of came to me. Phil mentioned it, I think, from Galatians about Paul mentioned walking in the Spirit, but in Romans he says, "But those who live in accordance with the Spirit have their minds set on what the Spirit desires. The mind governed by the flesh is death, but the mind governed by the Spirit is life and peace." And I would add, daily. So I just appreciate what the Lord's doing for this body and for us. Does anybody else have anything to add?